Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Nadia Diggs, and I'll just be providing a few instructions and a few quick notes for today's session during the Report Center Overview webinar. Hi, since we have so many people joining us today, I just want to bring a couple of things to your attention as we get started. The session is going to be recorded, and I will be muting everybody's line so we can minimize interruptions as our speakers are presenting. Typing, breathing, chewing, whispering, all kinds of normal noises that we don't think about are going to get picked up by the mics, especially if you are connected to your audio through the speakers of your computer. So we are just going to try and minimize any feedback or echoes, so we're just going to have all the audio muted. You can utilize the chat feature to ask any questions or let us know if there's something you need, if you can't hear us or anything like that. We are going to leave the ability for you to be able to unmute your phones yourself. All you have to do is press *6 or do it through the Zoom app itself. Please keep in mind to not put this call on hold. If you do, we're going to all hear the lovely music. So I would encourage you, if you do need to take a call, to please hang up on this call and then rejoin us when you are able to. There will be, nothing that lets us know. There won't be any noises, so you won't be interrupting if you do it that way. And with that, I'd like to introduce our presenters, Kelly Kowalski, Anna Hart, and Megan Moran. With that, I'm going to turn it to you, Kelly.
Thank you, Nadia. Good morning. I'm Kelly Kowalski, and I work in the Information Technology Services Department here in Central Office. And I'm very excited to present this webinar to you today. The objective of the webinar is to allow you to be able to learn the information and to be able to use the Report Center to help you do your job and accomplish your work more efficiently. So as you can see, we have the agenda on the screen. I'm just going to go over briefly what the webinar is going to contain. So I'm going to be giving the overview. I'm going to be talking about where the data comes from. I'm going to be walking you through the home page and the account preferences catalog, how to run reports, how to search reports, a brief touch up on dashboards, and I'm also going to show you where our training references are. Then following me will be Anna Hart, and then I will have Megan Moran, and then I will conclude the webinar. Okay, so let's just begin. So first question is, where does the data come from? So the main source that the data comes from is from our Oracle applications. So then let's think about it. How does the data get into the Report Center? So what happens is at the end of the day, we bring the Oracle applications down, and then our operators schedule the nightly schedule. They run the schedule so that it posts all the accounts. And then after that, they take a backup, and that backup is then loaded into the Report Center. So that's how the data gets into the Report Center. But the main thing, and the one thing that I want you to take home with today, is that that data is 1 day behind. And so when you go into the Report Center and you put a transaction into Oracle, and then you go into the Report Center and look for it, you're not going to find that. And I got to say, that's pretty much one of the #1 questions that we get a lot from people that, I did this transaction today and I didn't see it. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands, again, that the data is 1 day behind. Okay, so now I'm going to access the Report Center. So just give me a moment while I bring up the Report Center. And I'm going to type in our SUNY website address. Okay, so you see we have the home page on the screen, and we're going to click on Tools and Applications. We're going to click on Report Center. Now what you have to do is you'd have to click on the logo, which is the best area, whatever your logo is, and enter your campus credentials. For my sake, I'm going to be bringing up the RF Report Center. And these are my credentials, so I already have these saved in, which is nice and easy, and I'm just going to sign in. and wait for this to connect. Okay, here we go. Now, during this demonstrations that I'm going to be doing, I'm going to pause at different times just to stop to give everybody a chance to enter any questions they have through the chat box, and Nadia is monitoring the chat box. So after I demonstrate a few pages or a few topics, I'm going to pause, just so you know. If you have any questions right now, just give me a few minutes and then I'll allow you the opportunity to send in those questions. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about, this is our home page. Now, if you see under Recent, it's got Dashboard. Some of you may not see this home page because it's not where you had set your preferences for you to open up when you go into the dashboard. I will get to that in a minute. Sometimes you'll open up right to your dashboard, or sometimes you'll open up to your home page. The home page shows all of the recent dashboards right here in this top section. And on the bottom section, it shows all of the reports that you recently ran. All right, so I'm going to go over to, so if you hover your mouse over your name up on the top right-hand corner and click on My Account, you'll see this dialog box come up and you'll see where it's preferences. This is where you can start and set where you want your home page to go to. So as you can see, mine is on home page. It'll also give you a listing of all of the dashboards you have access to. Because I'm at central office and I'm a super user, I have access to a lot, but you most certainly won't see all of these choices. Simply click on home page or a dashboard that you go into all the time and click OK. All right, I think I'm going to pause for a moment to allow everybody questions. Okay, I don't see any questions coming in, so I'm going to continue. Okay. I just want to make sure. Okay, so on this top toolbar, you'll see there's different options. So we went over the home page. Now I'm going to go over what we call our catalog. Now, note that a lot of you, or some of you, may not have access to this catalog. The reason why is because it goes based on what access you were assigned into the report center. So if anybody has any questions or issues, like say you go in after this webinar because you're going to go right into the report center because I know you're so excited to go in that you're going to go and you're going to say, wait a minute, I don't have catalog. That's because of the access you're assigned to. So if anybody has any questions, I suggest you either talk to your supervisor or you can also send an email, which is the best thing, is to customerservices@rfsuny.org. Once again, I'm going to have a contact list at the end of this video, at the end of this webinar, so that everybody can write down the contact information. But again, if there's any issues or questions about your access to the report center, you will need to contact customer services. Okay, getting back to the catalog. The catalog is organized into folders. There's both My Folders and Shared Folders. Okay, My Folders are reports that are in this folder that only you can see. This is only information that you're able to see. In the shared folders, these are public folders so that everybody can see. We're going to break it down one more step. When you click onto Public by CO Reporting, you will see that there's folders organized under the subject matter. One of the two most popular, or three most popular, is Grants Updated Daily. Now, this is reports that are created and used for information that is award to date. This is live information. If it's not live, because it's one day behind, but it's information that you would know right away. Whereas Grant Snapshot are going to be reports that were done as a snapshot in time. So a lot of times when you use Grant Snapshot, you'll have to put in a month-end date or a fiscal year-end date. And then whatever date you put in, it's going to be as of that date. Anna will get a little bit more into that when she does her demonstration on sponsored programs and grants. There's also accounts payable as well, and accounts receivable, and we have some purchasing information. Okay, the other part of our shared folders is all of our campus folders. So you'll see that we have a campus folder for every campus. Now, understand these reports that are under the public by CO reporting cannot be changed by you. We secure them so that nobody can change them. You can access the report, and for those of you who have access to creating analysis, you can actually open one of those reports, copy it to your folder, your campus folder or my folders, but make sure you have to do a save as. But when you're in the campus folders, and say if you happen just to browse inside of 010 and you see Erin has a report that you'd like to use, be very careful. If Erin did not secure that folder, then if you go in there and change a report, you could change that on Erin. So always make sure that you start off by saying save as the report and move it into your folder. You can have your folder restricted. What you would have to do is contact customer services and send in a request, and we'll be able to help you with that. One more thing I wanted to show you, say you have your campus folder, but you don't have your name in there and you want to enter your name. So I'm going to show you how to do it. What you'll have to do is you'll have to click on 650 Central Office, have that highlighted, go up to the top bar. Under User View, we're going to go under the second icon. We're going to click New. We're going to click Folder. Hope I'm not going too fast. Please send in any comments or questions to Nadia at the chat box. If I'm going too fast, I will slow down. I'm going to click on Kelly Test. Okay. So when I add a folder, it's going to go all the way down to the bottom. Once you hit the refresh, it'll go back up again in alphabetical order. I'm going under 650. H-I-J-K, and here I am, Kelly Test. You simply need to delete a folder, highlight it.
Kelly, a bit too fast. Folks are taking notes.
Okay. Okay, I'll slow down, everyone. I'll hit delete. Click on OK. I'm going to do that one more time, just to give everybody the opportunity to take notes. I'm going to click on my folder, which is my campus, 650. I'm going to click on the second icon, New. Now, it's a little hidden up there. A lot of people will see this black heading and kind of look down here. It's up on top. Write my name.
Someone is saying they do not have catalog as an option.
They have to contact customer services.
If you're not seeing catalog as an option, please contact customer services.
We had a question come into the chat. Somebody asking about access. Again, any access questions will go to customer services. I will follow up after this webinar and just kind of check on all of the questions that came into customer services, follow up, and I'll also follow up with you individually.
And there's a question about why doesn't the new folder go into my folder as opposed to...
Okay, so the reason why it didn't go into my folder is because I put it under the shared folders because I was already in the shared folders level. So if I wanted to add a folder in my folders, I'd click on my folder. We'll do it right now. And then I'll add the folder under my folder. Kelly Test Webinar, because I probably already have Kelly Test in there already. So now I'm going to click on my folders. This works just like the Windows directory if you go into Microsoft Word or your Active Directory. And you'll see Kelly Test Webinar. Okay, any more questions? Okay, we're good. Okay, so I'm done showing you about the catalog and the folder. So now what I would like to show you a little bit more about the catalog, I'm going to go back just to kind of clear my catalog. So now when you have all your folders, you can just, you can just pull them back up again. So I want to show you how to run a report. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you two things. I'm going to show you how to search for a report, and then I'm going to show you how to run a report. So to search for a report, you want to click on this magnifying glass. Now, this is where you'll enter the criteria that you're searching for, but it's important that when you click on location, you click on all. You can restrict it down to my folders or shared folders, but I always put it on all. And type is going to be the type, what you're looking for. I would just, as a default, keep it on all. Now, I know the name of the report that I want to search on, but I'm just going to pretend that I don't know all of it. And this is not case sensitive as well. So I'm typing in a report that I want to look for, and I'm going to click on search. And over on the right-hand side, you're going to see a bunch of reports. So there's a couple things. You can sort your reports. You can sort the reports by alpha, last descending, or last modified ascending or descending. Okay? So I'm going to do last modified descending because I was in there today, or actually yesterday. A little bit about the report that shows on the right-hand side. So this is the name of the report. This is the owner, the person who created the report. What's very important is this will show you, because when you search, you don't know where you found it. You're like, oh, okay, I searched for it, but how do I get back to it again? So this will give you the navigation path of where you can find that report. So that report is filed under Shared Folders 650 Central Office. Now, to run a report, I'm going to click on Open. Now, these are called parameters or prompts. And this is what you'll have to, this will give you the ability to restrict the data so that you don't have to get all of the data back. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to enter month and date. Now, to enter dates in the report center, there's two ways. There's one way where you can free type, or you can use the calendar tool. I want to put the month end being January. So I'm going to do January. And the last day of January, January 31st, 2020. And I'm not going to select a specific campus. I'm just going to leave that blank, and I'm going to pull everybody up. Now, this is just this mimics the SPAR report, and it is for the month of January. So as you can see, it brings back the information and the data. At this point, you can either choose to export into PDF, Excel, PowerPoint. Okay. So now I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to catalog. Nadia, is there any questions? Please send in some questions if anybody has any questions, or if I went too fast and you'd like me to show you that again.
Do you have the ability to save that report after you run it? Like what you just ran, could you save that?
Yes, we can. Okay, so I can show you how to save that report. I'm just going to go to where that report is because I know where it is. It's right here. So if I was to, well, it really depends. You can only save that report if you have access to the being able to create reports. So if you just have the access to be able to run reports, that's all you can do is run them. So if you have access to create reports, then you can save as. And again, that comes back to being a little bit more of the access that you have. And if you'd like, you can send in a question to customer services, and I can get back to you directly and explain this a little bit more in detail with you.
We have a question. If a shared folder shows no results, would you assume you don't have the rights to view it, even if it isn't public?
So if you show the shared, if you go into the shared folders and you look for a report, I don't understand the question. Can you send in a little bit more detail? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, for example, if you went into the shared folders and one of your colleagues has a report that they run for payroll, and you don't have access to payroll in the report center,
Oh, yeah,
that query will return no data. And
that's a question.
that's
Okay.
very important to keep that in mind because people have different levels of security. Some will have access to payroll, for example, and some will not. Some will have access to HR data, some will not. So it really goes back to the type of security that you have in the report center. It could also be that based on the criteria that was used for the report, it's returning no data. And I think my colleague Megan Moran is actually going to show that later because there's certain queries that we use for monitoring that you do not want to have data returned.
Like an exception report.
Yeah, so that means that you don't have to follow up. So there are those variances. So it would be easier if you sent the original question to customer service.
We have a couple more questions.
Okay, that's okay.
Will this webinar touch on grants, contracts, and clinical research that is for cost sharing and payroll purposes?
That would be for Anna.
Briefly in the dashboards, we'll touch on those.
Okay, we'll make a note.
Yeah.
And then a follow-up is, so even if they are in the OM dashboard, would they be able to see all reports from their campus?
Yes. If they have the access.
Right.
So a lot of it, like Anna said, comes down to access. And Anna, thank you for answering that
welcome.
question. Is there any more? Is everybody good? Okay, great. Okay, so I'm going to move on. So I'm going to go back to the home page just so that we can get back to home. And the last thing that I'm going to show you is a dashboard. Now, I'm not going to get into the dashboards or exactly how to use the dashboards because for a few reasons. Number one, Anna and Megan are going to be going into them and showing them. And then I'm also going to show you some information on our training web page that will give you some references. So for dashboards, you click on dashboard. Now, the one thing I want to know is if you have a lot of dashboards, which most of you probably will not, but I do, again, as I mentioned earlier, sometimes these carrots, these are called carrots, sometimes these are open. And when they're open, what happens is that you lose the actual list and there is not a scroll bar. Now, I've gotten a lot of questions on this as well. So when you're in here and you can't see a scroll bar and you want to get down to the bottom of the list, you just need to start closing some of these carrots. So this is how you close, and this is how you open. So this is the Principal Investigator dashboard and the RFERR. Those are the two main dashboards that we're going to talk about today. Actually, the RFERR is the main one, because the Principal Investigator dashboard is pretty much mimics the RF Activity Interface Reporting Dashboard, which we call RFERR. And the only difference between that is that it automatically floods in data for whatever access the PI, person or administrative staff, has access to. So the access would be, if it was just for Jane Doe, the PI, then it's when you go into any of the tabs, it's going to flood in all of Jane's awards, projects, and tasks. That's pretty much the only difference. Okay, so the RFERR, I'm not going to get into that because, again, Anna and Megan are going to get into that. So I'm just going to pause again for any questions of what I went over as far as the navigation of the report center. No questions? We're good. Okay. So now what I'm going to go to is I'm going to go to going to open up another window because I want to go to the RF website homepage because I want to show you where are some training materials and some things about training now that we've added. So the first thing I want to do is if you go under our work, and I want to show you the learning and development calendar. And just let you know that we are now on this calendar for our report center trainings. We are in the process of scheduling some more trainings for fiscal year 20, this fiscal year. We're having this webinar, and we are also in the midst of developing an in-person training by June. Then fiscal year 21, next year, we'll be starting to develop some more classes for the fiscal year 21. So you'll see more. But for right now, you'll see Report Center. If you click on here, it will give you the information where you can register. The other thing I wanted to show you is if you go to the Report Center and you come over to User Help, this is where some of our user help is. And this is very important. I want to show you. This is our training manual that we give out when we come out to the in-person trainings. I suggest you take this and download this. This is an excellent resource, and it gives you in-depth information on how to create a query, how to run a query, how to schedule reports, everything. We even have practice exercises. Okay. So then underneath here we have what we call quick reference guides, and there are several reference guides on how to access the Report Center, how to about Operation Manager's Dashboard, how to run, print, and Excel, and how to schedule reports. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I want to thank everybody for the questions that came in. They were excellent. We're going to still go with this format. It seems to be working very well. And I am going to introduce Anna Hartz, where she's going to take over and tell us about sponsored programs.
Thank you, Kelly. As Kelly said, my name is Anna Hartz. I'm the manager of enterprise-wide support in sponsored program services. And I'm going to give you a brief overview of the RFERR dashboards that impact the work of sponsored programs, program managers, etc. Thank you, Kelly.
Just give us a moment while we transition the materials and the keyboard.
Okay. I am going to start by going back in to the Report Center. We're going to click RF Report Center. And again, I'm going to sign in from the list of campuses, RF Central Office, and I'm going to put in my login information. And I'm going to click sign in. Okay. When you sign into RFERR, as Kelly mentioned, you'll go to your default home page. In this case, it's set for alerts. I'm now going to go to the dashboard drop-down, and I'm going to go down to the very bottom, and I'm going to click RF Activity Interface Reporting, or RFERR. The RFERR dashboard has a lot of very useful information. The first tab that you land on are alerts. These alerts are helpful to the administrator, and we also have the same type of alerts available on the PI dashboard and can actually push these alerts out to anyone who needs them via email. So if you have important things coming up, like awards ending, employees terminating, reports due, all of this information can either be viewed here in the dashboard or by having us set up alerts that go straight to your email box. So we have found this to be most helpful for people, especially for those who don't have the direct access, or this would remind them that now they have to go into the Report Center, look at something, and then take care of what needs to be done. The other tab we're going to look at is the Administrative Inquiry. This particular tab shows the Administrative Inquiry by award or by project and award. And you would access this particular dashboard by entering some of the parameters that are listed in the screen. So I'm going to enter a particular award number. You can narrow your search down, or you can search by different criteria if you wanted to return all awards for one sponsor, etc. The important parameter to remember is that if you're not sure of what your award status is, just click all so that it returns all awards, and do the same thing for projects, because you may not know that the award is actually on hold. So if you search for just active, nothing is going to return in your query, and then you would click OK. You would see here then that you would have award data that is available, and if you click on the award number, it opens up to a more detailed screen. This is the same information that is available in the award management screen in Oracle or on the Oracle abstract report. This lists very useful information about the sponsor, the budget, installments, etc. And this could be very helpful for people if they need specific information on an award. It will also list the information from our references and terms and conditions that are in the Oracle applications. And again, this information can be exported if necessary. When you need to get back to the main dashboard, it's important to remember not to use the back button. You should be using the breadcrumbs at the bottom of the screen, and this will return you to the previous screen that you were on. So I'm going to go back to the RFERR dashboard now, and then the similar inquiry is available on the project level. The next screen that's most helpful is the APT. This is the equivalent of the award summary inquiry and the award project inquiry in the Oracle Business System. This information is helpful because it will return some information regarding basic high-level expenditure categories that were charged to an award. So for those in sponsored programs who in the past have used just the ASI, this will provide you some other additional information that may prove useful. It will give you information on expenditures, budget, etc. This information can be exported as necessary and used to help you in your work. Some people have found also that they have used this when they're finalizing an account. They can send it to the account manager and tell them that this is what we're using to close out the award. These are the final expenditures. The next tab.
Anna, we have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Someone is asking, why can't I view the dashboard next to favorites? Is that related to my permissions? The dashboard drop-down list is related to their permissions, but most people that have access to the report center should have access to a dashboard. Now remember, part of it may be that some people have different amounts of dashboards that their security gives them access to. When they click the down arrow, they should be able to view the dashboard and then click on it. If that's not the case, I think we're going to have to work with the user individually.
Yep.
So we'll have their contact information and reach out to them. They can send a ticket to customer services and we'll reach out to them. The next tab in RFERR that I want to discuss briefly is the PACS Pending Proposals tab. For any staff in pre-award that utilizes the PACS system, this information is very helpful because it will list all information regarding any type of proposal that is in the pre-award and compliance system, so that people can actually track their proposals right now in the report center, and information again can be exported as needed. One thing to remember, if you have a double arrow at the bottom of the screen, that means that there's more data. So if you were viewing all of the data, you want to make sure you click on this so it returns all the particular data. My screen is rather long because it's returning proposals for the whole enterprise. You, again, will be limited to your campus security. The next two tabs my colleague Megan Moran are going to touch on, so I'm going to move over to the People Inquiry screen. The People Inquiry screen has useful information regarding payroll information related to an individual, payroll distribution detail, information that's located in their labor schedule, information on fellows, etc., as well as information on expenditures that may be in your suspense account. This screen is very helpful, especially for people who are responsible for verifying payroll data. I can actually not expand this screen at this time because this is all confidential information related to a particular person's payroll. But staff has found this most helpful, especially as it's related to checking payroll expenditures for payroll confirmation and effort certification. People have also found that the labor schedule inquiry screen can help them because sometimes they have an issue or discrepancy in payroll that's related to the way the person's labor schedule was set up. That's the charging instructions to the award, project, and task where a person is to be paid. The next screen I'm going to talk about is the Accounts Receivable Inquiry screen. This screen is helpful for people that are responsible for account reconciliation. It will list information regarding accounts receivable invoices, aging on invoices, and AR invoices that are outstanding on awards that are terming. Let me pause for a second. There's a question.
Can a report be done for my tick handle unit for all individuals on RF accounts?
Yes, if they send a ticket to customer services, we'll be happy to get that report set up for you. We would need the criteria, and then we will get back to you, and we can either schedule that or make sure that it's saved so that you have access to it in the report center. And it's important to remember that as I show you these screens, all of the screens and portlets within these screens actually are queries that are built in the report center. So if you would prefer the actual query, if you have access to the catalog, you would have access to those queries. If you would prefer that you have that query that's behind the dashboard scheduled and sent to you at different intervals, that can also be done. The next tab I want to talk about is the Cash Receipt Inquiry screen. This particular screen will list all the cash receipts that are posted to a particular award. To access this information, I would enter the award number. You could enter different criteria to narrow it down, including if you need a receipt from a specific date period. Again, the award status, I just choose all column values for all award statuses. And if I click OK, it would then return a list of all the cash receipts on a given award. This particular information is very helpful for staff, especially accounts receivable staff, because the cash receipt presentation in the report center is much better than it is in Oracle. And it's a lot better to do an analysis of the cash receipts on a given account by using the report center as opposed to Oracle. It's a lot less cumbersome. Some important things I just want to point out here because we have a varied audience. If you're someone who works in technology transfer and works with royalty receipts, we've added information to this screen so that you can actually track it back to your information. Yes?
Can a mechanism be put in place so an account does not go in the red?
There are different types of alerts that can be set up if an account is getting ready to overspend. That also should be monitored by staff, but we could write a specific query for that particular award to tell you when you get close to coming to the end of the budget, to fully expending the budget. So that information is available. Are there any other? Okay. Okay. And again, I'm going to use the breadcrumbs to get back to the main screen. The other screen that I wanted to talk about is the monthly summary inquiry screen, and I'm just going to click on this. The monthly summary inquiry screen houses what we call MAS and MPS reports. These are those reports that contain information that is frozen at a given month end. And these reports are available in the Report Center, usually by the 6th of the month, depending on the calendar. These reports are helpful to people, especially if they're monitoring encumbrances on reports or projects, because this will give you a detailed accounting of all encumbrances for a particular month. This report is used by project staff as well as accounts receivable staff and post-award account administrators. It should be noted here that if you actually need a monthly task report, that particular report is available only in the Oracle Business System. Okay, I'm just going to quickly switch over to the catalog, and then I'll turn it over to Megan. In the particular catalog, I just wanted to point out some of those areas that Kelly talked about, and also to say that for whatever your business area is, be it accounts payable, accounts receivable, we have detailed queries that are available for any business area that you're responsible for. And if for some reason that you don't see the information out here, please let customer service know, because we'd be more than happy to write a query to meet your particular business needs. We've actually then taken a lot of those query suggestions from campuses and made them part of the public folder so that they're available for more than one user. And thank you so much. I'll pause here for a second to see if Nadia has additional questions. Okay.
Thank you, Anna. That was excellent. And again, if anybody has any questions and they want to send it into the, oh, Nadia has a question.
We do have one.
Oh, okay.
What can you do when you see the expenditures are charged to incorrect categories? For instance, should be participant support, which does not have overhead versus it does.
Okay. I would suggest that you reach out to your particular grant administrator to talk about how the expenditures were charged, because they may need to change the category that they were charged to. And it is possible to do that. They just have to discuss it with their sponsored programs department.
Okay. And the question, you have to have access to the catalog, though, in order to see the queries, correct?
That is correct. However, if you think you need a specific query, but you're not going to be writing queries, we can schedule queries that are sent to your inbox in an Excel spreadsheet as often as you need them. So this is very helpful also for those people who do not want to get into writing queries but still need to get query information.
Okay. And what about details so one can track down incorrect charges?
Okay. For incorrect charges, I would be looking at the dashboard or running a particular query about a specific award. We have, for example, in the grants updated daily folder, I suggest that because that's as up to date as yesterday. So if you want to look at an award and see the total expenditures that have been charged to an award, we have queries out here that can help you with that. If you need help with what specific queries to choose, or you don't see something you need, then send an email to customer service. But for example, there's a query, grants detail expenditure by award, and that would give you information on all expenditures that were charged to that award for a quick review, right in the report center.
Okay, so a follow-up to that is,
Yeah.
are they itemized?
Yes, they're by expenditure type. So that is at a lower level than if you look at the dashboard, where you're looking at the category level as exposed to the lower expenditure level with the actual charge, like salary regular, fringe benefits regular, that type of example.
Okay. Who should they contact to have a query created?
They should send an email to customer services, and then a service request will be sent to Kelly's team, and they will assist you with preparing a query that you need.
All right, I've got two more here. Is there a query that shows all the cost transfers or credits on an award or a project?
Yes, again, if they look at the total expenditures for the award, they would be able to see that charges were credited to an award.
Okay, and then a follow-up to the
Yeah.
previous one. What if one does not have access to the folders you are referring to?
Okay, again, if you don't have access to anything that I'm discussing, either speak to your supervisor or email customer services, and we can get your access straightened out. Okay, I'm going to now turn this over. Are there any other questions?
They're saying they don't have a supervisor.
Oh, then please just email customer service. Yeah,
We'll get back to
and
you.
we'll get back to you very shortly.
Anna will be your supervisor.
I'm now going to hand this over to Megan.
Thanks, Anna, that was wonderful.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Megan Moran. I'm the Accounts Payable Purchasing Manager here at Central Office, and I just want to touch on a couple items related to Accounts Payable Purchasing. So without further ado, we're going to go back to the dashboards. And as Kelly mentioned, we're just going to close these carrots here. I'm going to go to RFERR. So as Anna pointed out, there's two related to AP purchasing. So the first one I'm going to touch on is accounts payable inquiry. High level, this has a lot of useful information for accounts payable and project staff at the department level. So for example, if you wanted to see any invoices paid to a particular award, you can actually go ahead and see to date what's been paid. So for example, I'm just going to quickly pull something up just so you guys can have a quick look. You can enter additional information here with the other criteria. It's of your own choosing if you really wanted to narrow it down by project or task. I'm just going to do it at the award level right now. Then we're going to click OK. So as you can see, based on this award, I didn't narrow it down by project, but it was able to bring up all invoices paid as of yesterday. Again, this isn't Oracle, so it's not up to date, but it is as of yesterday. You can change the view above, so if you did want to bring it in by the project detail, if you just change that little view above, it's actually going to sort it out by project. So that's actually a nice little feature. And again, as you scroll towards the bottom, you can export it, you know, and for your leisure, whatever you need to do. So if we follow the breadcrumbs back. So again, just it's high level, but it's a good review for all invoices paid if you know, depending on what you're looking for. I won't go over these other tabs, time permitting here, but you know, if you wanted to look at payments, vendor summary, all that good stuff. The other one I wanted to touch on is the Accounts Payable Minority Women-Owned Business Report here. This is probably another popular one that campuses use. So this will display any invoices that were paid to either a minority or women-owned business. So many of you have grants out there that have to actually report back to the sponsor. So we're just going to go ahead and enter some criteria here. And again, you can use this little calendar feature, which is nice. So I'm just going to run from the beginning of January this year to current. Again, you can narrow it down if you so choose, but I'm just going to go ahead and run it. And again, so this is actually applicable to AR staff as well, not just to AP folks. Let me just go back for a second.
Sometimes what happens is if you don't enter the right criteria, or
I'm thinking we may want to just narrow this
narrow it
down.
down, 'cause
Yeah,
there's going to be a lot
yeah.
if you're pulling it for everybody. Understand that the performance is due because we have access to all campus
Everything.
locations.
So I'll narrow it down to 650. That should be quicker.
There you go.
Okay, so as you can see here, this is what we have here at Central Office for minority women-owned. I just wanted to point out for the AP purchasing folks out there that, you know, are sort of familiar with the lines level of the invoices. So at the lines level, we have a little DFF called the Credit Card Minority Women-Owned Supplier. Again, DFF, descriptor flex field. So this is where if it's paid on a Bank of America or Amex, whatever your campus is currently using for P cards, we made it so they can actually grab that information as well, so long as the processor is actually inputting that into the DFF. So that's very important. That way you're getting credit, even though the vendor that you're paying is Bank of America, we're actually getting credit here. Okay, so that's high level accounts payable. Again, it's that depending on what report you're looking for. The other thing I wanted to point out is under purchase order inquiry. There's a few items here, but the most important one that I find useful, and I believe the campuses, if you're not aware, is open purchase orders with active encumbrance. So this is actually going to show any purchase orders that are open that have a remaining active encumbrance. So this is especially important towards the end of a grant. There's a lot of pennies left over as they're trying to clean up the AR staff. So it's a very helpful report. If you see things on hold, I recommend that you actually always go to this report and you're trying to narrow down a discrepancy. A lot of times you will see minor amounts hanging out here that you'll have to finally close.
Is there a list of reports queries that PIs have access to?
That PIs?
PIs, well, that again is depending on access, what access the PI has. A lot of the access that PIs have, and this isn't every PI, but most of them have just dashboard access where the administrators for the PI or sponsored program administrators will have access to more of the reports and that kind of stuff. So again, that would have to be an individual basis, sending a ticket into customer services and then just talking with your supervisor or your department and just to see, you know, how you can get that access.
Okay, thanks. So that's really just the two main inquiries here that we have in accounts payable and purchasing. The other items that I really wanted to point out are that they're located under catalog. And again, the public folder that Kelly mentioned earlier. So I'm going to focus here on accounts payable, and if you click expand, it's going to list all these nice reports that we have out there that anyone can see. So I'm going to focus on the first top three. These are very important, as you know, for the end of year for 1099 reporting. Ned Gelner usually sends an email around the September-October timeframe. So what I recommend for the AP purchasing folks is that you actually be proactive and try to run these monthly if feasible, if not quarterly, just to ensure that you're up to date. So again, I'm just going to go back to January. And we'll do it through today, and I'm going to narrow it down to 650. So what this report, so it's called the AP 1099 Miss for Travel. So this query identifies travel expenditures that are coded with a Miss 7, which is non-employee compensation. So generally, substantiated travel reimbursements are not reportable to independent contractors and therefore should be removed. So as you can see, we had no results. So this is actually good. If I did have some results here, if we had invoices paid to consultants with the expenditure type TRV, they would appear here and they would require further review. Okay, the next one I want to touch on is the AP 1099 monitoring expenditure types with miscode. So let me again just enter some criteria here, January through today. And again, going to narrow it down to 650. So hopefully everybody's familiar with these main three reports. So this is an exception query that identifies invoices indicating reportable payments but missing 1099 information either within the supplier record or invoice record. So as you can see, this populated a couple invoices that we've paid so far. So in these situations, it's okay that some data returned. So like, for example, Tag Solutions here, they've indicated it's an LLC and a company. So for those AP purchasing folks that are aware, companies are non-reportable. So this would actually require, going back to the supplier record, reviewing the W-9 because it is coded as GNS consultant. So don't be afraid if things do appear. It just means we're trying to be proactive and want you to have another review before any 1099s actually go out. Okay, I know we only have a couple minutes left. So the last report is the AP 1099 monitoring non-1099 supplier with miscodes. So again, I'm going to just run the same dates. Okay, so this query identifies invoices with the miscode present on the invoice, but lacking 1099 supplier setup information. So this would require, if anything, populated. This is actually good. No results is a good thing here. But if you did have an invoice that actually appeared with 1099 at the line level, distribution level, you want to make sure it's on the supplier file as well. Otherwise, a 1099 will not be produced at the end of the year. So again, I would encourage folks in AP purchasing to focus on these top three. Again, if you can run them monthly, great. Quarterly, that's fine too. I just would recommend not wait until the end of the year to actually finish up and, try to do all your catch-up. It'll save you a lot of time and effort. So with that said, I'll see if there's any questions.
Megan, can you open up the contact sheet that's right down there?
Sure.
Yep.
And I'll pass it back over to Kelly.
I don't need this. Just
Put the video back on.
Just put the video back on and we're good. Okay, Megan, thank you. That was excellent. Okay, so I'm sorry, we're just a couple minutes over, but before we end and conclude this webinar, I just wanted to kind of go over a few things, just a few reminders. So again, if anybody has any questions, I think we've been taking the questions all along. Is there questions at this moment? We're good. So, if any of you are like me and have questions, just send anything that you have or any references that you need to customer services, and we have our contact sheet up on the screen. Hopefully everybody can see that. We have customer services, myself, Anna, and Megan's contact information. I really thank everybody for joining. I just think this was great. It gave us the opportunity to try out our new format or having our subject matter experts join us. So again, I really want to thank Anna and Megan for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you, Kelly.
And one last thing, we're going to be sending out an email very shortly after this webinar that's going to be coming, and it's a training evaluation, and we really would hope if you could just take a few minutes and be honest and candid and give us all of your information, your feedback, because that's the only way that we're going to be able to improve these training seminars or webinars, and we really want to continue to improve them. So with that being said, I want to thank you for joining us. I'm excited. I hope you guys got something out of this, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.